I'm back, and I'm going to, here's where we are right now, and I'm going to go ahead and add another layer on some of my background, not all of it. So I will go ahead and carry on, and hopefully you can see a little bit more over here. I tried to set up the camera a little bit better this time, and I've got my color on my palette, and I tried to keep the three colors separated, and I'll kind of show you what I mean by that. So here they are. There's my yellow, red, and blue. And so I add them. I don't mix them too much on the palette most of the time. Although sometimes as I get further into a painting, I may start mixing up a little bit of color on my palette. And I'll try to talk to you a little bit about that. So I'm adding permanent rose over the color I've already got down here, leaving a little sliver of light. That's a little piece of a stem or something. No, it's not a stem. It's the brack on the rose, the back, the green part. So sometimes I'll hold my brush up straight, sometimes I lay it down. I've talked about that on other videos. Hopefully that it depends on the effect that I want, whether I will lay it down or have it upright like this, and I'll use my little finger to prop my brush up, kind of, and steady it a little bit. So I'm over here, come back in here, add a little more darkness so that it's relating to the value up there, although it's a little more, I'm making it a little brighter down in this area. This is more my center of interest, so if I keep that a little more bright, then up here in the top left corner, that's perfectly fine. Going rose into the blue to create that violet again. Let's bring a little bit of yellow into the rose. So how do I pick which color to add where? It's a little bit of a game as far as which color goes where. In that if I put yellow over green, it's going to go into yellow green. If I put yellow over rose, it'll go more orange. And so if you think about how you mix color on your palette to get certain colors, you can also paint your colors this way, in layers, so that red and green will turn into gray. So put red over this blue, or bluish green. If I have more red there, the red will dominate over the green. If I have equal amounts of green and red, it'll turn into gray or black. And that comes with some of you may really be real familiar with that. Some of you may be brand new at that understanding of color. It comes with just a lot of practice, trial and error. The thing I love about using these transparent staining colors is that they layer over so beautifully, and I love the translucence that I can get from them. And then it's just fun to see how the color changes up depending on what I put on top. So here, let's put a little yellow over in here. And see how green it is compared to this orange. So just kind of fun color theory type stuff. Someday I'll do a color theory video. I'm sure somebody's done one of those before, but it would be fun. I had the most wonderful teacher, whose name is Gary Pruner, for my color theory in college. And those of you that were lucky enough to take classes with Gary know what I'm talking about. It just was a hard class, but you just learned so much. And I used what I learned, every day on every painting. So it'd be fun to pass a little bit of that along to you. So this is a little bit of lay it on and come back and lift it back out again idea. So I'm just coming over all of these light areas, and right now I'm just using the Winsor blue green shade. So just taking that down a little darker in value. Right up to the windowsill, which I saw that when I was painting over here, you couldn't see the windowsill. So I apologize for that. Okay, so when I get down to the bottom there where I want to stop, I'm just going to lift up a little bit of extra water and pigment. And then I'm going to come back up where I started at the beginning of that wash, and I'll just come back in, and I can lift over some of the light areas and lighten them up a little bit if I want to. Make some of those little, let's bring this little number 6 Robert Simmons white sable back again. And just make some of those little circles. You can use them as directional kind of I don't know what the word is, but as a direction. So that creates it a little horizontal right there. And you could do some little vertical or diagonal, depending on your composition, what you want to emphasize. You can soften edges if you don't want to keep them all hard edged. So there could be some soft edges, some hard edges. Let's see, kind of like that. I don't think I want to. Well, I didn't mean to do that, but there you go. There's a drip, and you can see it pushing. It won't harm anything. I'm going to lift out some pigment right in here. But it could have. If it was right in the middle of the face, that wouldn't have been too happy of a occurrence, but luckily I didn't have a face and it was in the background, so that won't be a problem. I'm just kind of lightening up along this edge, giving some soft, it's almost like painting clouds or fluffy cotton balls. Directional piece. And I'm going to take my larger brush and then I'm just going to come up in here, really lighten this part up and let it move into the windowsill. A nice little light spot there. A little bit of light pushing in here. And then I'm going to soften this top edge. My brush is perpendicular to the page. I have a little bit of water on my brush, but not too much. And I'm just moving it across that edge of the windowsill. Push a little bit of color there. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that. And it's coming along. The background's darkening up, which I need it to do. And we'll do one more layer over on this side, and then I'll come back to you in another video and do some layers on this center rose to show you how beautiful the layering of that can be. And then maybe we'll attempt to do a little bit on the glass at some point too. That would be fun. Little clear water over here so I can add some color without making a line. I'm going to darken. I'm starting with blue, the Winsor blue green shade. Just darkening that, letting it kind of feather into that damp area. Let's do some circles over here. Come out beyond what I had previously painted. I want to darken that up a little bit. I'll bring some rose in on top while it's still damp, like that. That helps darken it, and then I'll bring in a little bit heavier Winsor blue green shade. And let that just kind of soak in over there and gives a nice dark. Actually, this should go darker up in here too. I'll come back and deal with that a little later. Okay, so then I'm gonna start right down in here and do this area one more time so you can see how that looks with another layer. I'll start with the Winsor blue. Oops, wrong brush. I'll start with the Winsor blue with another brush. And there we go. Start right here, right up tight against the petal and away from the edge of the circles, the background. So any hard edge that I have, I don't want to make those sharp edged like this. And if you do those, I guess sort of concentric circles, so they're like water when it goes out, when you throw a rock in the pond, you see all those rings. Well, this is sort of something similar, I guess. We could do some of that with this area up in here, just to emphasize some of those lights. Like that. I want to keep this part light, so I'm just going to bring in clear water. That nice and light. Bring the clear water around. And then meet the area that I've just painted. Down here. This can go a little bit darker right up in here. And down here. Bring a little bit of permanent rose into that to gray it down a little, because it makes that kind of gray violet. Plus all of my layers underneath are going to show through as well. Come back over here. Let's just bring in some clear water and soften this edge. I'm going to bring yellow on top of this area here. And back away from the little heart there. More yellow. Pull that down. Kind of gives it a yellow greenish look with what's already been painted. Come up tight against the vase again. We got some red over here. There we go. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. I feel that like this up in here feels a little bit dark to me, and that color sort of settled in. I'm gonna soften this top edge so it's not quite so dark right in there. I'm going to soften this top edge too. Kind of like when you're a new driver, you have to keep your eye on different areas and you're not used to it. This is a little bit like that. You want to keep your eye on areas you've already painted and how they're drying and what stage of dryness they are. So you only want to take on as much space as you can handle, and it also depends on the time of year. I'm in summer right now. It's pretty hot here in California, so everything will dry faster than it would in the winter time. I'm liking these. I hope I'm not overdoing them. I like that one right in there. Love that. Who knows what's going on back in the background, but it gives a nice change of color and texture and a little bit of change of value. I'm going to bring in a little bit of yellow right in here. And I think a little bit, maybe a little bit more. Touch that into there. Let this kind of come in there. Okay, that's kind of fun. Alrighty. I think the next video I do, I'm just going to take a piece of plain white paper and kind of go over my layers a little bit, a little swatch, and kind of show you how that works. I may sit down for that. So I'm standing up right now, and it might be easier to sit down. I see something else I want to do before I leave you. I'm just going to touch a little bit more into that. Give that a little bit more of a push. I hope I like that. Sometimes you do something like that and you wreck what could have been very nice. So my solution to that is always to walk out of the room if I fear I'm going to wreck something that's beautiful. So I think I liked it before, but I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to mess around with it and try to correct anything at this point. So there you have another step in my background, and hopefully you're getting the idea of how to create those little circles, that out of focus look in your background. So it combines these concentric circles, soft edges and lifts, and coming up hard against your center of interest right up to the edge, and lots of layers of color. So hopefully that helped you, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody.